how you prepare for a golf tournament?
Well, I hit balls maybe 20 minutes, putt a little bit, smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes, drink 3 Diet Cokes, and go to the first tee. Some days I won't even go to the range.
Well, we have made it to another Friday. Welcome into the Daily Puck Drop, hashtag the DPD. We appreciate you watching here on YouTube. As always, like, subscribe, leave a comment there below. It all helps the algorithm and the Utah? Well, I'm going to get to Utah in a second. The Utah overlords. Also, if you're listening at Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, appreciate it. As always, it's great. All the feedback, everything, please, pucksports.com. You can always email the show at puck at pucksports.com. That's a mouthful sometimes. Puck at pucksports.com. All right, let's get to it. It's a Friday, June 28th edition of the Daily Puck Drop. Again, the DPD. As always, we'll touch in on the M's. No game yesterday. Very important homestand, though, coming up. The Lakers, LeBron, Bronny James saga. We'll touch on that. Jaylen Wells story. The biggest concern from Rob Staten, who was on the show yesterday, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. NHL draft is tonight, therefore, all the teams, including your Seattle Kraken. And Hey, What the Puck? Some detail, some stories here on Hey, What the Puck as we end every Daily Puck Drop with that, including a huge story coming out of the NFL. We'll update you again on our studio sponsor if you missed that news yesterday. And we do have voicemails. Not as many as I thought we were going to get, but we do have voicemails. And again, the voicemail line is open. It's up on the website, pucksports.com, upper right-hand corner. You can see it. Just click there and dial up that phone number and leave us a voicemail, and we will play the best ones every Friday. That number, again, 425-577-7272. Oh, I forgot one more note on the Daily Puck Drop, a reunion of sorts. Well, big test here for the M's, and it starts tonight against the old Twinkies, the old Minnesota Twins, coming in there with their walleye and cheese curds. 9-game homestand. Team looking to right the ship a little bit, and a good test for the boys. They're not hockey players, but I like to call them boys anyways. 3 against the Twins, and then the Orioles come to town, and then who knows what the Blue Jays, when the Blue Jays roll in, what the Blue Jays will look like. But if they keep the team together, then it's always a daunting task. There are going to be a lot of fans there regardless, but by the time Toronto comes into town, Vlad Guerrero could be on the move. Bo Bichette could be, a member of the LA Dodgers. We don't know. But a big test here for the M's as they are, they're holding on to the division. They still maintain their lead over there over Houston by 4.5 games. But that road trip just showed you that they have been leaking oil here for the last, a couple of weeks. While in the meantime, the Astros are playing much better baseball. And we've talked about this constantly that, that team is not going to go away. They're just not built that way to go away. And so for Houston, they look at an opportunity right now to win the division one more time, which would be, if they do it, their 7th time in 9 years, which is just in an absolute incredible figure for them. And I think they smell blood here a little bit with Seattle. Good time for Seattle to come home. Divish, who will join us today because it's a Friday edition of the show. So Divish and Egan will be back on. Divish did a nice job in the paper right there. Hard copy of that newspaper. Go get it today. Get a little ink on your hands, folks. It's good for you. Get a little ink on your hands. That, you see the splits and the differences between how this team plays, on the road opposed to how they play at home. It's a massive difference. And it's a massive difference, especially when it comes there to the pitching staff. Pitching staff and their starters, the ERA is almost 2 runs different. So, good time to get back home, kind of reset yourself a little bit, and get these pitchers back on their normal ways. Now, they're going to be facing an offense. This is one of the best offenses in the American League. 3rd in home runs, 4th in average, 4th in on-base percentage, 3rd in slugging, 3rd in OPS, 4th in total runs scored, and 3rd in OPS. So I already mentioned that they're 3rd in OPS. So this is going to be a hell of a task here for this team. But as they've shown all year long, they come back home and they play better baseball at home. And so they need to kind of get back to their ways where they were in the beginning of the season, or at least in the last few weeks before they went on that road trip. I mean, the good news is, listen, they still lead the division. But as we've talked about, constantly, and you have talked about with your friends when you talk about with the Mariners, is a flawed baseball team, and just in terms of what they are offensively. And have they been tricking people a little bit this year? Well, offensively, yes, sure they have. I mean, their pitching is just absolutely elite. Now they're going to get tired a little bit, and they're going to go through these stretches in which they are not on their A game. Their concerns with the bullpen. It's something I want to talk to Divish about today, especially with Andres Munoz. I thought it was real just concerning about how he looked in that last outing. When he came in, just not sharp, and he's had that back issue, and the use of him last year, and then how much they were going to depend on him this year, especially when Matt Brash went down. There's a point where you don't want to run this guy, into the ground. And so, as Ryan had pointed out in the paper, what options are there? Well, Santos should be coming back soon at some point. Well, you'd like to see it sooner rather than later, hopefully right around the All-Star break or just after the All-Star break. Logan Evans, who I think last night was, I'll stand corrected on this one, the first or second time I think he's gone back-to-back, and so they're testing him to see, how many outings he can go back-to-back, and he's the young man that's down in the minors down in Arkansas. So starter who they've converted to a reliever, and they'll bring him up. So at least they'll have some reinforcements coming in that bullpen. But everyone knows they're going to go out and try and acquire somebody at the deadline to bring in here. So it's a good time to get back home for them. They're facing some good teams. It's good to get some tests here again. I expect he had a disaster of a road trip. You can't say anything else about the road trip for Julio Rodriguez. It was maybe some of the worst stretch of baseball offensively that he has ever played. It was that bad. He comes back home now, and I expect a huge series out of Julio. Well, why do you expect a huge series out of Julio Rodriguez? Well, I'll tell you why. Because with the Twins coming back in town, his good buddy, mentor, a guy that I think when you look back on this one, they may regret not keeping him around, as Carlos Santana is back. Carlos Santana playing for the Minnesota Twins, who's having a good season, by the way, a very good season. He's hitting 254. He's hit 12 home runs. Now he's got better numbers than Julio, and he's driven in 39. And I think Julio has talked a lot about the impact that Carlos Santana has had on his career, not just as a, on the field, but off the field. To have someone in which a guy can put his arm around a young, talented player like Julio and just guide him through life and the life of baseball and all that. Everybody needs that. And I think that's the one thing that, Divish and I have talked about a lot with him in Julio is, he has been, the expectation is that it's all on him, and it's been all on him from right away. Right away, he has been tabbed as the superstar of the organization, the guy that's got to lead this team and be the team leader. That's a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight on one person's shoulders, and a lot of weight, therefore, for Julio to carry that all for one person. And not only trying to deliver on the field, but be the team ambassador, but be the team leader. And when you struggle and the rest of the team struggles, you put it all on you. And that's certainly what Julio's done. I think you'll see a much freer, much looser Julio Rodriguez this weekend. And I bet you he has a monster series because Carlos Santana is going to be back. Now, the rotation could be in flux a little bit. You've got Gilbert and Bailey Ober, the pitching matchup tonight. We don't know what's necessarily going to go as we record this on Friday, what they're going to do on Saturday and the rest of the series on Sunday. We'll wait and see. Maybe Divish will have more information for us coming up when we record a little bit later this morning with him. and 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 give us what the latest is. They can push things back and have Miller end up pitching against the Blue Jays, but then you can set yourself up perfectly for that series against the Orioles. So you could have Hancock or Jonathan Diaz come up and give those guys Castillo a rest, and then you set it up Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert for that huge series coming up against the Baltimore Orioles. But should be a fun series, should be a packed house, should be a great homestand. You got three great teams coming in with three good fan bases. One, Twins. For some reason, there are so many people from Minnesota that live here. It's unreal. So many of them that have moved out here to the Pacific Northwest. And then you got the Orioles situation with Adley Rutschman, and Adley Rutschman's going to have his entire, crew here because his family and friends, from Oregon. And then when the Blue Jays come into town, I mean, we've seen what the Blue Jays do, and they take over the damn place, and it's an unbelievable atmosphere. But I'll say this about T-Mobile. The atmosphere this year at home has been incredible. I mean, I think the fans have turned out and showed out much more than I ever thought that they would this year. And this was even before school got out. So the attendance has not been an issue for the Mariners this year. But good for them to get home yesterday, to get a break, a rest. They few and far between where they have had off days at home. And I believe it's only the second time that they actually had an off day at home. No game yesterday, so we didn't lose our bet M's under summer. Tonight, the total, again, is 7.5. Our current record on the year is 25, 27, and 2. If you're not following along, we're betting on the under on every single game. And again, the matchup tonight, Gilbert versus Bailey Ober. So again, bet the under. In the long run, folks, it's gonna work out for us. So 25, 27, and 2 on the season. Bet the under. Total tonight, 7.5 runs. The pitching is going to come through. All right, over to the NBA. And the biggest story yesterday, and the worst kept secret, was, got to pause for a sip of coffee here, listener. Worst kept secret at number 55 in the NBA draft last night, the LA Lakers select Bronny James. It was telling when on the draft show, when they had Bob Myers, the former GM of the Warriors, who now is doing television for ESPN, and he's on there telling everyone and broke the story or had the news, right from LeBron's camp. From Rich Paul, the agent for Clutch Sports, saying that Rich Paul is calling around and telling teams, hey, if you draft him being Bronny James, he's not going to go there. He is going to go to Australia. And, this whole thing was just manipulated in order to get Bronny James to go to the Lakers. We all know that. And I love the storyline that comes out today. And Rob Pelinka, who's the GM of the Lakers, saying, well, we drafted him and, he's a great player. And, we don't know really where LeBron is at right now. He has a decision to make on his future. As if LeBron James is going to go be a free agent. I mean, it's this whole charade of getting LeBron and Bronny to play together. It's just been so obvious since the day that Bronny James announced that he was leaving school early to go to the NBA. We all knew this was going to happen. Hell, there were some people that thought fearful that maybe some team would take him, that they would take him in the first round. Early on when the mock drafts came out, the evaluations came out for Bronny James, there were some that had him in the first round. And then people saw him play. Okay. And they realized, no. And even in some mock drafts and player evaluations, there were a few that had him mocked in the second round. There were a lot of these mock drafts that did not have him among the top players. And he shouldn't have been drafted. He shouldn't have. And LeBron, and if you're a father, if I was in his shoes, I would want to play with my son. Everybody would. But at the same time, LeBron and the Lakers are doing Bronny James a disservice. They're rewarding him for something that he at this moment in his career doesn't deserve. He doesn't deserve. He's shown nothing of his ability to this point in his career. He may at some point, and it's an unfair burden for Bronny James. I feel bad for Bronny James in a sense. Because he knows in the back of his mind, he knows in his heart, As much as he'll go up there and he'll talk at the press conference or he'll talk at the combine, which he did, and trying to shoot down this whole notion, well, teams aren't just going to draft me because of my name. He knows deep down that the only reason that the LA Lakers selected him was because of his dad. That's it. And he can try to fool himself and lie to himself, but he knows deep down that's why he was selected. We all watched him this year because he was in the Pac-12. There's not a chance this guy is ready for the NBA. He's not even remotely close. First of all, he's barely 6'1". He's already one of the smallest players in the NBA. Already. I mean, USC had him listed at 6'4". He's not even close to 6'4". He's 6'1". He cannot shoot, and he cannot handle the ball. So you are drafting him to. Now, I'll say this about him. Having watched him, he doesn't play like a prima donna. He doesn't play like some spoiled kid. He doesn't play like, hey, I'm LeBron's kid. You better respect me. He doesn't play like that at all. That's what I do enjoy about watching Bronny James play and did when he was at USC. He doesn't come off as entitled at all. He works hard. He hustles. He runs back on defense. I mean, you're going to say, well, it's all things he should be doing. Yes, but there is a motor in Bronny James where when I watch Bronny James play, if his name was Bronny, Jenkins, I would just say I would want guys like that on my basketball team because he kind of he's always hustling. He doesn't really take a play off. He's a pretty good defender, but he's got a good motor. Guys that you kind of point to and said, hey man, like these are good guys to have on your basketball team. I just think that this is not a good message, I think, for him. And you have an agent sitting there and calling, these teams and telling them, hey, do not select him. Whatever you do not do it. That's just not a good look. And frankly, be honest with you, it's not a good look for the league. Because Adam Silver, none of this happens without really, in a way, the approval of Adam Silver, because they want this to happen, because they know that the first time that they play together, we all are going to tune in. We're all going to watch it because it's a made-for-television event. And I've seen the comparison. Well, this is like when the Griffeys play together. It's not even remotely like that. First of all, King Griffey Jr., was there, and then his senior came. Senior was already established. Yes, he was older, but this is a guy that was a damn good baseball player that wanted to ride out like the last year or two of his career. Now you're going to say, well, it's flip-flopped. LeBron's doing that. He wants to ride out the last, 2 years of his career or year. Okay, fine. Yeah. Well, maybe that's a little bit of a comp. It's not really of a comp because LeBron's LeBron and King Griffey Sr. was down here. But Bronny is nothing like King Griffey Jr. King Griffey Jr. was the number 1 overall pick, slam dunk, one of the best young players in the sport. And the other thing about it is it's the Mariners. When he joined the team, it's a fledgling franchise. They needed this type of PR. They needed something to distract from the awful play on the field, right? So it was like anything that we can do to generate any type of buzz for this organization, we're going to do it. Not the Lakers. How many championships the Lakers have? 17? They're one of the most recognizable franchises in the world. They don't need any more attention. They've put LeBron. Ultimately, I don't even think LeBron knows this. I think LeBron's in a bad situation with his teammates. I think LeBron's in a bad situation as a father. I think Bronny's not in the best situation. I think it's good to separate yourselves from your dad and get away. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers organization, but I don't feel bad for them because they've done this to themselves. I don't care how you feel about J.J. Redick. This does no benefit to J.J. Redick, because now J.J. Redick is going to have to play him. And somebody said, well, he's not going to make the team. Of course he's going to make the team. They didn't draft him. He may not make it right away, and they may make him, quote, earn it, but he's going to be up there at some point, and he's going to play. They didn't draft him in order for him to sit in whatever the Lakers G League is. Like, Bronny James will be up there. And now you're going to force your first-year head coach to now play him and give him minutes. And when when you got LeBron, who last year says he's watching all these NBA games, I don't know if you remember this, I'm watching all these NBA games, my son can play, he's better than half the league, which was just an insanely dumb thing to say because it's just not true. And he knows he knows that that's not true. And now now you have got power over the head coach. JJ Redick knows you have power over him. And JJ Redick is going to be like, well, I've got to keep my job, and I've got to be in the corner of LeBron. I've got to do him a favor, so I've got to play him. It's just it's a lose-lose situation there for everyone. And and to see ESPN just slobber it up yesterday, and to listen to Adrian Wojnarowski like wave his finger about nepotism in the league, and no one at that platform. There's some great things about that network. I mean, we all watch it still, but to sit there and have no balls for anyone to call out what was happening, just to sit there and take it and act as if like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this one. They all know Stephen A. Smith, who was up there, Adrian Wojnarowski, Bob Myers, all these people, they know this kid cannot play at this level right now. They know it, but they're too afraid to say it because what? They're going to somehow blackball the Lakers, blackball LeBron, or they're going to get blackballed by his camp. Just a sad situation. Moving on, though, what wasn't sad is what was a great situation was Jaylen Wells. Jaylen Wells, kudos to him, go Cougs, selected 39th overall to the Memphis Grizzlies. But tough for him to make the team because they're a pretty talented roster, but I love it. I love the fact that this kid, and I talked about it yesterday, goes to Sonoma State, plays there for 2 years, lightly recruited coming out of high school, decides I need a bigger opportunity, lands, great job by Kyle Smith and his staff to find him, lands at Washington State, puts in the work, by the way, is not a sensation right away. He barely even played in the beginning. Like, he wasn't, early on in the season, he wasn't much of a factor at all. Then they started to play him more. He found his footing, became a very good defender, and he became a great shooter, a great penetrator, great pull-up mid-range game, and really at a point in the season was carrying this team, carrying the Cougs. And he is going to be a perfect fit in the NBA. To be able to defend, he'll get bigger, he'll get stronger, to penetrate his mid-range game. He's got a nice shot, but to sit there in the corner on the wings and you kick it out to him, and he is going to drain open threes left and right when he gets his opportunity. Jaylen Wells is going to put a long career in the NBA because he can do two things. He can defend and he can shoot. And you always will find a place on someone's roster for that. But I just love the story of perseverance, of bettering yourself, using the portal to better yourself, better your stock, and continuing to work at your craft, which he did at Washington State, and then made himself a draft pick. Same thing to be said for Isaac Jones, who did not get drafted, signed a two-way deal with the Sacramento Kings. Love to see what happens to him in his pro career. But the fact is, he's already a success story. He'll play professionally somewhere, whether it's the NBA or not, but he will. And again, that's a guy who's cut from his 8th grade basketball team, never played travel basketball, just kept working, community college, goes to Idaho, goes to Washington State, and now has a chance to become an NBA player. Okay, yesterday's program with Rob State and Seahawks Draft Blog, all things Seahawks there with Rob. We took a week off, and then Rob was back this week. So yesterday's show, which we are about a month away from training camp getting underway. And so Rob and I kind of went over. Each of us shared what our top 3 storylines were heading into training camp. No one does that, by the way. No one does, hey, let's share what our top 3 training camp stories are. But Rob and I did that. Rob and I both share I believe this was number 1 or number 2, both on our list of a concern heading into training camp there for the Seahawks.
Just what the heck are they going to do at linebacker if these two projected starters are not healthy? I did this a couple of weeks ago. You look down the list of available free agents and you just go, there is not a solution there.
Yeah, there is not. We're talking about Baker and Dotson, and again, it's just a repeat of a story that we've done many, many times, is that they just don't have options there right now, and those guys have not been healthy, that haven't been at camp, and I'm concerned about it. Now, maybe they don't value the linebacker spot. I don't know. I value it. I like guys that can tackle. Raise your hand if you like people that tackle. So hopefully something comes up here during training camp. Maybe someone becomes available. I don't know about a trade or someone gets cut, a surprise cut, cap casualty, and they can get somebody. But fact is, you haven't seen Baker or Dotson at all. It is a concern, and that will be, as we go into the season, a red flag here for the Seahawks. And as we go into training camp, hopefully they're there for training camp, and also would be the health. One of the concerns would be the health of the offensive line, and specifically the health there of Abe Lucas. NHL draft tonight. This is Puck Sports, but I'm not breaking down the NHL draft this afternoon. Kraken pick 8th. Okay. Some guy named Kaluzakats. I'm not going to give you an NHL draft breakdown other than to tell you, hey, good luck to the Kraken. Pretty badass that they're in the Vegas sphere. Making the selections today. But good luck there to the Seattle Kraken. And good luck to my good buddy, Mike Benton. Shout out to Mike Benton. All right, we'll finish up with Hey, What the Puck here on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Speaking of the NBA, this Kyle Filipowski story, the young man out of Duke, is wild. Just wild. Second round, first of all, 7 feet, can shoot, can pass, can dribble, and he goes to the second round. This guy is a first-round talent. Absolutely first-round talent. The fact that he wasn't selected in the first round is criminal. Now we're starting to find out there may be a reason why he wasn't selected in the first round. Teams are scared off about the relationship he has with his girlfriend, who's 28. 28 years old. Apparently they started dating in high school when she was 26. Now, again, this is all on the web, and I believe everything I read on the internet and social media. So if it's not true, but okay, but I can't stop following this story. This is unbelievable. So they started dating in high school when she was 26, and apparently 2 years ago, she got Filipowski to just turn away from his family. He is estranged, apparently, from his family. No longer communicates with them. And apparently, she's Mormon. This is why it makes this story that he's going to Utah so interesting, is that there are rumors of, and I've heard of this because actually we have friends in our neighborhood that they talked about this. This actually happened to them, of Mormon grooming. That she has been Mormon grooming him, Kyle Filipowski. And then there's whether it really is them, but there is apparently the brother of Kyle Filipowski, the mother of Kyle Filipowski were on X last night, going back and forth with some NBA reporters or people that cover the league and saying, this is the story. Here's our concerns. This thing, and they even talked about on the draft last night. This thing is wild. I hope he's okay. And I don't know, man. If this all is true, man, this is, and you could say he went to the worst team he could possibly go to if this is true. Because he will be isolated. He will be isolated there for sure. But kind of just a scary, weird, wild situation with Kyle Filipowski. Go read up more about it. I mean, it's all over the internet. Just about how she's much older, how she sought him out and found him for some reason and then just started dating him. And I'm like, my first of all, I thought of you're the parents, right? Filipowski. When you find out he's dating a 26-year-old in high school, don't you think that raised a red flag at all? You think as a mom and a dad that there should have been someone stepping in being, hey, Kyle, yeah, you're 17 or 18. Hey, bud, what are we doing here? I mean, yeah, she's good looking and attractive and, older woman, sure, but she's 26, man. She's 26 years old. All right, a really cool thing coming up later today. I can't wait to get back out there. No Jim Moore, but the mayor of Maple Valley Open is today down at Druids Glen Golf Course. I can't wait to go see Ian and all the rest of the bunch there. My guy Divish is going to be there. I think Ashley Ryan's going to be there. I can't wait to go see and just familiar faces too of everyone that's been playing in that tournament for years and years and years. It basically is the same group, and I don't know how long Ian's been doing this for 11 years, 12 years, I think. Is it 10? I don't know. He's been doing it a long time. I should know this by now. And I think I've missed one of them. It's a fun event. He raises money for a lot of great charities. Of course, the Brandon Huffman DPIG Foundation, Jordan Morris Foundation, the Holinsky Foundation. Ian puts in a ton of work with this. It is a labor of love for him. It's so much work. I don't think he plays anymore now. I think last year was the first year that he didn't play. But it's a grind for him. He works his tail off. No one is better at it. I can't wait to go support a good friend today at the Mayor of Maple Valley Open. If you're going down there, please don't hesitate to come up and say hi. I can't wait to see all the familiar faces, listeners of the old radio show, and hopefully listeners of Puck Sports. A crazy story coming out of the NFL. They're going to pay out in a Sunday ticket lawsuit $4.8 billion. Damages could triple under a federal antitrust laws. So they could end up paying the league $14.4 billion. Apparently affects 2.4 million residential subscribers. The lawsuit claimed the league broke antitrust laws by selling its package of Sunday games at an inflated price because they got antitrust exemptions as the NFL, which is just BS anyways. But if they do have to pay, each team, sorry, Jody, each team is on hook for $449 million. Jesus, that's a lot of money. I don't care how rich you are, man. That's $449. How the hell would Al Day or what's Davis's kid? How is he gonna pay for that? He can't pay for that. There's no way he can pay for that. He doesn't have that kind of money. Some of these teams, the Bengals, they don't have $450 million. Crazy, wild. Almost $15 billion. If you missed the news yesterday here on the Daily Puck Drop on Hey What the Puck, Limback Lumber is our new studio sponsor. So behind you, we've started the transformation a little bit. We're clearing off the wall, but on Monday you will see the backdrop here. If you're listening, it doesn't affect you because you're listening. But this Puck Sports Studios built by Limback Lumber. So the Limback Lumber Studios will debut on Monday here at Puck Sports, pucksports.com. Certainly just so happy and thrilled, and big thanks to Paul and Matt and Mark and everyone over there at Limback Lumber. Just a great bunch of guys, man. Just salt of the earth dudes that have been working at a place that's been running in Ballard in the area since 1930. Just family owned and operated. These guys are so old school. All their transactions that they do, like with their contractors, it's all on paper. They all still write it out. The receipts, the documentation, everything. None of it's on computer. I saw the whole thing. It's unreal, but it's such a throwback and it's so cool. So if you are a small contractor or a do-it-yourselfer, Limback Lumber, go visit them, limbacklumber.com. But starting on Monday, the Limback Lumber Studios, Puck Sports, built by Limback Lumber, starting there on Monday. All right. Finally, we'll finish with this. Again, voicemails are open. We got voicemails. The link is up on the website at pucksports.com. You can always leave us a voicemail. It's there. For those listening right now, it's 425-577-7272. We like funny. We take serious, but we do enjoy funny. And our first voicemail comes from a very frustrated Mariners fan.
Man, I think the crazy thing about this Mariners lineup is the fact that Kellenic has 8 home runs. It's more than Julio, 17 less games. He's hitting 280, 30 points higher than Julio. And then obviously Oscar is doing his thing with the Dodgers. So Man, I have zero faith in Dipoto fixing this lineup. It is so bad.
Oh God, it's hard to be a Mariners fan, isn't it? I guarantee that guy, that was a late night voicemail that he left, because there was a couple of cocktails in there, maybe some bong rips. I don't know, but you can sense and hear the frustration, can't you? All right. Someone asked me the other day, what's it like being a Mariners fan? Oh, it was Rob yesterday, because Rob is a frustrated English football fan. I said, it's like being a Mariners fan. I expect them the worst. It's terrible. It's a terrible way to go watching a game. And it's my fault. I know. And I have to watch that. And then I watch the Cougs. It's an awful way to be a sports fan. I'm trying to change it. Again, voicemails. It's on the website, pucksports.com, upper right-hand corner. You click the link. And all the instructions are there for you. It's simple. It's easy. Again, the phone number, 425-577-7272. Last one, a familiar voice. He's back checking in after the NFL draft.
Michael Sean Dugar here. I apologize for the hiatus. I had to take a little break contemplating, scintillating, escalating, and just processing the Seahawks draft board. I give them a Dugar grade of a B. Pretty solid. I do think the big pickup was Christian Haynes. Speaking of Christian, my boy Chris is out there on the flag football field and he's baptizing people. I'm like, take me to church. Anyway, y'all, go Cougs!
It's great to catch in with Michael Sean Dugar. Again, voicemails open every Friday. We'll play them, 425-577-7272. Also up on the website at pucksports.com. All right, it's a Friday show. So coming up later, we'll talk to Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. Also, Chris Egan of King 5, as he always brightens up the end of your work week. Everyone have a fabulous weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. The backdrop here will look different, as it will be the debut of the Limbach Lumber Studios. Puck Sports, built by Limbach Lumber. We'll talk to you soon. As always, we promise to be better.
Shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!